Heidi, start with you. In the interview, you recently said people need stories. Can you develop that?
In a world where people need stories, they need them for distraction, they need them for inspiration, and sometimes they just need them to pass an hour that would otherwise be painful to them. And I think that's as valuable as anything. And then if, as a writer, in a world where people need stories, you can find stories that need telling, there's a sort of symbiosis, I think, that everybody benefits from.
There's something about the experience that clearly creates this kind of relationship where people keep coming back to stories. Most of the stuff that drives our appetites is there because it's evolved. It's just the best explanation for any human characteristics, that it's gone through some evolutionary process. So the ability to process information and draw conclusions and look at scenarios being acted out and develop strategies is something that clearly we're hungry for, that we want to see examples of how not to get eaten by a bear, I guess.
Narrative is everywhere, as Jed just said, and you watch a football match and that has an incredible narrative to it. The Women's World Cup at the moment, or the Tory party leadership conference, has got an amazing narrative. We want to know what happens next,
or not,
or wish we could actually change the story.
I mean, it gets harder, isn't it, for people like us who try to create stories, because everyone is so sophisticated, and the tricks that you find yourself employing are apparent to people now. And I think and everyone's attention spans are so short as well. You've got to be very pithy in hooking people into your story, especially with writing the way we try to write, which is to surprise and write the kind of things that we used to enjoy watching ourselves, where you can't not half watch it. You've got to sort of properly engage in it. Is exciting, and if you can do that to an audience and hook people in and take them away from their business of their day, that's a lovely thing.
Jed, how much are you involved with your characters to the extent of saying, I won't let him or her go because the audience is, not because they're popular or getting more audiences, but the audience is, I've got somebody there that the audience are identifying with, they're very fond of, very interested in the development of, and is there ever a tension between it'd be good if they were killed off or it'd be better if they'd stay alive?
Well, it's always got to be about what's in the best interest of the series. Clearly, it's not in the best interest of a character to be dead. So the way I would approach it is look at what new story you get from that, and if the audience has got a real attachment to a character, it means they're then invested in whether there'll be justice for that character, or if there's a mystery around it, they'll be invested in finding out what might have actually befallen them.
Steve and Reece, when you created characters, do you stay with the character that you have created, or do you change them, or do you develop them between you? How does it work, the two of you working together on a character?
We often don't decide in advance which character we're going to play, and I think in that way, one of the earliest things we discovered is that if you write every character as if you are going to play them as the actor, then you will make each character interesting, because no one wants to be stuck as an actor with a duff kind of, yes, Sarge, kind of character. We'll want it to be a fair distribution of characters, and you'll want to play different types of characters. So we have a kind of horse trading session where we kind of, it's a bit like a card game, and go, okay, well, if I'm Hector, then you can be Edward.
To go back to that point of killing your characters, we'd very deliberately in League of Gentlemen killed off what we thought were the catch, because we got a bit annoyed that people thought it was catchphrasey and a bit easy. So we killed Tubbs and Edward, the local shop people, in the beginning of Series 3, thinking it was a stupid idea. We shouldn't have never done it. But we thought, we brought them back immediately. So it was fun. But we thought, we don't want to be any level that we're treading water or we're doing the same thing over and over. So we thought we'll get rid of our most popular characters. But stupid idea.
Can I just ask you finally, all the new stuff that's coming, the Netflix and the Amazon and the Apple and all, is that going to affect you as writers? Does it give you more opportunities, or do you rather balk at it?
One of the things that it has changed is the way in which television is consumed. I mean, I remember years ago where executives would sincerely advise you not to make things too complicated, not to have too much serial story, because the audience wouldn't remember what had happened last week and had no opportunity to catch up. Whereas now the streaming services have driven the mass consumption of this kind of technology, and that has enabled writers to push the boundaries of complexity.
It is changing the way television is commissioned. Amazon and Netflix, for example, they don't develop. And we're all used, I think, to the BBC culture, where you have an idea, and even at quite an early stage in your career, you can be paid to write a pilot, you can even get paid for a treatment. There are literally hundreds of scripts in development at the BBC at any given time, but Amazon, Hulu, Apple, etc., they want projects. On the one hand, you could say it means there's a great desire for content and more projects will be made, and we need more writers. On the other hand, without the development process, will nascent and emergent writers perhaps get the support that our generation got when you're sort of paddling in the shallows, and maybe stuff doesn't get made and it's frustrating, but you're learning and earning at the same time. And I think with the streaming channels, it's all a bit more all or nothing, and that could long-term have a detrimental effect on the writing experience. But I don't know. It's new, yeah.
There's a funny gag in Family Guy. It cuts to an office and a woman answers the phone ringing. She goes, "Hello, Netflix, you're green lit."
I think that's a good ending. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.